Right, the Reds, it is Talking Reds and Talking Reds this morning with Adam Melia. We're doing it a bit earlier today because we want to get it in there and out there before the game tonight, should the game tonight go ahead. We are still waiting official confirmation of whether the game against Villa is going to go ahead. It's due to be played at Villa Park at 7:45, but I'm sure you've all seen by now there is a coronavirus outbreak at Aston Villa, which has affected the first team. The manager, the first team have all gone into a bubble, if you like. They're definitely not going to be involved. And what Villa are proposing now is fielding a team which is a mixture of under 18s, under 23s and everything else. So they're all getting a coronavirus test now. If any of them show up positive, it's likely it doesn't go ahead. If they're all fine, they will be the opposition that Liverpool face. I mean, Adam, we've said it so many times, haven't we, during all of this? It's all a bit mad. But, you know, the FA have said now, they sort of trotted out a bit of a rule, which I think is quite good, because everyone's sort of been like, well, what's the score? Like, when does it get called off? But they've sort of said now, if teams have got 14 available players, including under 23s and under 18s, then these games should be played. So Derby are going to play their academy side basically against Chorley on Saturday in the FA Cup. I think Middlesbrough are looking to do something else similar, again because of COVID. But Southampton's game against Shrewsbury is being called off because there's a load of Shrewsbury players who are positive for it. But yeah, as things stand, it looks like it's going ahead, mate. So what are your thoughts about everything that's going on?
It has been another fast-moving sort of 24 hours, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm glad, as you say, that they've sort of published the 14 players thing, because I remember when the Man City Everton game got called off, I had that in my mind, thinking, well, I thought they said this season they'd sorted that, so this wasn't necessarily going to happen. But I guess that's a Premier League decision, not an FA decision. Yeah. So you can kind of see the different ways different bodies are working. And to be honest, I think having seen what the options have been over the last 24 hours, so it was, I think, sort of going back to before any of this kicked off, my main feeling was annoyance at the draw. Like, we've got another tough draw here. I can't believe it. I'd like to have an FA Cup run, but it probably looks as if we might not, even if we play our first team, they beat us there. They beat us in the league. So I was kind of just a bit annoyed at the draw, and then it looked like the game might be called off and rearranged. And you think, oh well, we might get some players back fit. Then there was about an hour when it looked like we were going to get a bye to the next round. Yeah. That's obviously, I didn't think that was going to happen, but that would have been something. And you think, God, that's quite a precedent to set with COVID around. Where does that lead? And I suppose that's probably why that's kind of been blown out of the water by the FA, kind of putting their foot down seemingly and saying, if there are 14 players available, then the tie needs to go ahead. There's no time to rearrange it, and you've got enough players. People tend to play kind of different teams at times anyway in this cup, so go ahead. So it's gone from me thinking, even with our first team, we might get knocked out, to thinking, whatever team we put out, we should win.
Yeah.
Because of the team that Villa are going to be putting out, really. You think now, I haven't been looking at odds because I don't really do that often, but I wonder what they've been swinging around and doing in the last 24 hours, because having seen all of that, the things I've been looking at this morning are people saying, get your money on ex-Liverpool player to score multiple times because of the team that we're likely to be facing. So, yeah, it's been an interesting...
Paul Coates-Origi hat-trick shout, is it?
Yeah, I think it might have been. It was that, and Mane at a disadvantage, or whatever you call it, a handicap thing. So I don't know. I'm not sure what to think, other than I really hope we don't field a strong team and lose.
Oh yeah, that would be mad, wouldn't it? I mean, yeah. There is talk of sort of momentum and talk of trying to get a bit of a lift, given obviously beaten by Southampton and 2 draws before that. Klopp mentioned a little bit of that in the press conference yesterday. I know some people that sort of downplay that idea, but it is a thing, I think, especially as well, the sort of the media and how they talk about Liverpool. that affects how the fans feel, and you sort of feel there is a knock-on effect, but yet that would be majorly negative, wouldn't it? If they're playing like, they're under 12s, and we can't beat them. It's a weird one as well in terms of, we were talking about this yesterday on the Team Talk show, about how their managers already talked about the FA Cup. We know what Klopp has said about it in the past as well, and he's not really done anything in the FA Cup. He did say yesterday we could do without getting hard draws all the time, which is your point as well. But Dean Smith was saying, this is a few days ago, we're definitely going to have to look at the schedule. As much as I love the FA Cup, I did feel that with the fixtures, the congested fixtures, the FA Cup might have to be postponed this year due to the pandemic to free up spaces for other fixtures. It hasn't been, and we will have to make some changes. I'm certain that Liverpool will do the same. There does seem a thing here that Villa are absolutely desperate to get this game played one way or another as well. I mean, they're doing well, and that they've got every chance of finishing high up the league themselves. And bizarrely as well, they've only used 19 players this season in the Premier League. So I think they would have been making a lot of changes anyway. But everything I was reading in the Birmingham papers and stuff, it was still sort of, we think he'll play Grealish because he'll want, he pulls the strings and he still wants to have a go at winning. Now it feels a little bit like, bizarrely, it feels a little bit like when we went to Qatar and just went, we'll have to throw these kids out and Villa battered us.
Yeah, I know it is a strange reversal of that, and I don't know. I don't know a great deal about this sort of Aston Villa extended squad. I'm kind of in my mind, I'm just imagining like small versions of Tyrone Mings, Ollie Watkins, and Jack Grealish, little ones. Yeah, so I don't know, and we don't have all the details, I guess, about which players have been COVIDed out, because if it was us, you'd think, in this situation, they'd probably want to pick some of the senior players to play alongside the youth team, but whether they'll be able to do that and who they'll be able to do, because we've seen different versions of this over the years, and it seems to me that if you've got a decent-ish core, you can sometimes play allow young players to show what they can do around them, and it works for a while. So. Even us, as you say, the one when we were our first team were in Qatar and the kids played last year, we did all right for a while. It was I can't remember if it was 1-0 at half time, but I remember in general, what the five goals, it was 5-0, wasn't it, that we lost. The 5 goals we conceded, it wasn't the battering really, it wasn't the battering of a 5-0. I think it was tired legs towards the end. So that's the sort of thing you get in these sorts of games. So we'll just have to see. It's made it interesting in a way, hasn't it?
Well, yeah. On the coronavirus as well, and sort of it starting to affect football a lot more now. Even to the point where you've got Sean Dyche now saying like he doesn't want it to affect health workers, etc. But he's basically floated the idea: is there a way here that we vaccinate the players, and that's a way we keep it all going. I'm still waiting for my 97-year-old nan to get one, so you can fuck right off, Dyche. But on the coronavirus, 4 Premier League and 52 EFL matches have now been postponed this season because of it. And now, the FA Cup game at Southampton, as I mentioned. Have you got any worries at all that we reach a situation where it's just like there's no specs left to play these games, lads? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think I've got a couple of coronavirus related worries. That the one that you mentioned there is definitely real and pressing, especially with the Euros still on the horizon.
That's surely got to go, I think.
It seems like you would say that it would seem that way. I'm not completely up to speed with what other countries of how bad the situation is in other countries. So I guess it has to be a vote. That would be that all the federations would have to vote on. And a lot of countries do rely on it for income, don't they? Their FAs, so they're not going to want to can it. But it seems like this season's already so truncated and squashed together that that is the thing that's going to have to roll over, kind of thing. So that's the thing that makes you think, where on earth can any of these games go? The other thing, I suppose, is without talking about the pandemic too much, the Sean Dyche point. If that becomes louder, and if that becomes not the vaccination point, but about kind of the risk that footballers are adding to, in general, the crisis of hospitals being too full for things to continue, then that might become louder, and there might inevitably be a pause in football. I think that's the thing that everybody wants to avoid. But I think we remember last time it's almost like an avalanche kind of thing, isn't it? There's a few snowballs, and then suddenly it's like, well, this is absolutely going to stop. And it was our Atletico game, wasn't it? That was the one that went ahead. It was like, what is going on here? Why is this game being played? And so you might reach a stage where it feels too much to continue, and there has to be a break for a while. So everybody wants to avoid that, don't they? But it is just a battle between vaccinations and hospital spaces and everything at the minute, isn't it? So
yeah. I mean, I think that's where there's, you can understand why we are where we are today, really. I mean, look, we're talking now and it's sort of 9 o'clock-ish in the morning, and we still don't know whether a game at 7:45 tonight is actually taking place. But what you've just said there is spot on, in that if a Liverpool player or Jurgen Klopp or any of the Liverpool players ended up picking up coronavirus through playing this fixture, that would definitely start that snowball rolling that you're talking about, wouldn't it?
Yeah, or if another one I was thinking was if a manager, Allardyce mentioned it, if a manager's hospitalised, or somebody, there wouldn't even need to be that high profile, but somebody catches coronavirus at a game and ends up in hospital, you start to think this isn't just kind of footballers who can shake it off that's impacted, because it isn't, is it? And that's the whole point. It's the same point about schools, isn't it? It's not the kids in school, it's the vector situation and who they're passing it on to. So I do think that there's various scenarios, and that's the one that's in my mind. Some manager or coaching staff ends up hospitalised, that everybody's going to say, well, it's not worth it now.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, mate, is it is FA Cup third round weekend generally. And any footy fan has sort of got memories of that and commentaries and of it being a big thing. Loads of people say the sort of romance has gone a little bit out of the FA Cup, and I'd be inclined to agree with that when it's sort of a Premier League side playing a Premier League side and all that kind of thing. But the game at Marine, is absolutely brilliant. Jose Mourinho going to Crosby with a Tottenham side, and it is the biggest gap between two sides at this stage of the competition in the FA Cup's history. So Marine are essentially 8th division, which is the easiest way to talk about it. And obviously Tottenham, when they drawn them, were top of the league at the time. We're doing some stuff around this game in association with Budweiser. So we've done a preview show, which is out there last night with a couple of Marine fans, Jordan and Matty. It was a good laugh. And there will be a special post-match pint as well. This is live, this game on BBC, 5 o'clock on Sunday. And it is one that, I can see you smiling already, Adam. It is one that makes you smile, isn't it, this one?
Yeah. It's and such a shame that the fans aren't going to be in. And there's been some really good some really good things about raising that money for Marine to kind of replace the funds lost. But yeah, it's just anybody who's been to Marine or even been near Marine, just like parks, so just come across the stadium, because that's sort of what you do, isn't it? You kind of like
just there opposite the shops.
It's weird, isn't it? Because I went to Moose Coffee. I went to Moose Coffee in Crosby. Was looking for a parking spec, and I was like, "Oh, there's Marine." So it's that sort of thing, isn't it? Where it's a mad situation where a wayward Harry Kane shot could go in someone's garden.
In your back garden, yeah. Harry Kane knocking for the ball.
Yeah. So it is a perfect summation of why the FA Cup can be brilliant. And we'll just have to see what happens. It will probably be another one of them where in the first 5 minutes, you can see either there will be that gulf in class, or they might be able to hold out for a bit longer. But yeah, it's really, really exciting, and yeah, just funny as anything. I mean, Carlo Ancelotti's a big fan of the Crosby area, so maybe he'll be able to describe it to Mourinho in flowery terms, and
maybe you'll see, you know, Mourinho and Ancelotti having a little walk through the Gormleys or something.
That's what I was thinking. I mean? Yeah. Having a little look around Blundell Sands.
we shall see. But yeah, we are doing some stuff around that, so looking forward to that in association with Budweiser. And a good thing Budweiser have done with the club, by the way. Everyone surely saw the story about Marine's goalie when they knocked out Havant. Trotting across the road to the offie in his flip-flops and full kit to celebrate and get some ale in. Well, this time around, Budweiser have donated a fridge and a load of ale full of Budweiser, which will be at the club ready to go. So he doesn't have to trot over the road this time, which is great. And they've given us some as well for these for this content. So I've got this mad machine, a perfect draft machine,
nice,
in my living room now, and I've got this. Got this to get through.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah. So join me for that on Sunday.
Do you have to get through it in the match?
I mean, they've sent 20 pints there. I think the original idea was, obviously we would all get together and do it in person. And then, things changed and we're in lockdown now, so we can't do that. So the boys have been sent some Budweiser themselves, and we're going to do it remotely. It's not my intention to drink all those pints.
Drink 20 pints
in one go.
In 90 minutes.
Be some content that. But anyway,
like man versus food, man versus Bud.
One to look out for there anyway, for anyone who is interested in that big tie. You should tune in and watch it on the BBC on Sunday as well. One last Liverpool thing, mate, is that in the press conference yesterday, Jurgen was obviously asked again about centre-halves, also asked about Wijnaldum. Wijnaldum, he very much battered away. The only thing he really said about it was, how much I like the person and the player. There's nothing else to say. That's not good or bad news. It's just how it is. If there was a decision, you would know it. On the centre-halves as well, he was asked about that, and he sort of said, in normal circumstances, yes, you would do something. And he did say, and the owners are, and he did that, the owners are responsible. And I was just sort of looking at him going, is there a slight gob on there? But on Wijnaldum, first of all, there's a report in The Athletic today which is saying that the reports that are saying Wijnaldum's turned down the final contract offer, jibbed it, and he's off, are not true. And that the stalemate remains. People close to Wijnaldum saying he still hasn't made his mind up. All the usual stuff, mate, that, he could obviously go and get a huge signing on fee elsewhere. He feels he should be one of the top earners at Liverpool. Liverpool are worried about giving a 30-year-old a big contract, etc., etc., etc. Where do you think that one's going to end up? Because he keeps playing him, he keeps talking him up. Wijnaldum looks happy and puts in good performances. Klopp's even doing a bit of PR for him, I think, the other week when he was saying he was in the changing rooms and he was saying, let's not waste the first half. I mean, stuff like that must go on all the time, but I thought it was interesting he said it publicly almost to say, he's bossed this well, and any hopes. Same with the centre-halves thing. I'm not saying he's politicking, but he might be.
I haven't watched it. Actually, I didn't watch yesterday. I do usually watch Klopp's press conferences, so it's interesting that, because I think it's always worth watching his press conferences for them little nuances and him saying the owners are responsible. That that's the reason I watch them, because you can get things from looking at how he's saying things more than the words written down sometimes. Because I do think that he knows what he's doing. His mastery of the English language is amazing, and things like nuance and things and pauses, he does use them. So I think there's probably something in that. The Wijnaldum thing, my position on it hasn't changed. I think footballing wise, you can't argue with the number of minutes he plays and his importance to the team in general. He's not just a body, he's not just a drone that plays a lot. He's a massively important part of the team, who you would certainly say we'd like to have him next season. if it, and maybe that's all that there should be to it. So footballing wise and even money wise, I think that there's all the evidence is there to say that you should offer him what he's asking for. The only things that I think are possibly there's a non-money reason why he's been offered something, he's been guaranteed something elsewhere that he can't get here. But I've speculated that maybe Barcelona are going to play him where Holland play him. And Klopp can't offer him that, so you don't know. There might be something non-money wise on the table, or the thing that's sort of doing my head in a little bit, because there's a knock-on thing, is the thing about how it involves breaking our pay structure, and that worries me, not just because I think that means we will probably lose Wijnaldum if we've refused to break what we see as our pay structure and say it's set in stone, but it makes me think that at what point do we break it? Is there a point where we break it? Because there's a clock ticking on all of our stars, and they're all. You can see why the club might think, well, we can't give Wijnaldum X amount of money a week, because then the next thing there's a knock at the door. But that knock at the door is coming, and do you say the same about a Salah and a Mane and a Virgil? What do you do at some point? At some point, you're going to have to say, well, we break the entire team up like Ajax or Arsenal or somebody like that would, or you keep it together like Real Madrid or Bayern Munich would. So it's a key moment, I think, much as some people are sort of brushing it aside as it's only Wijnaldum. I think there's more happening there than just this one player. I've always felt like he's going to go, though. That's deep down. I feel like in general, when a contract runs this long, it's talk at the moment. It's just hot air, and the player leaves. So I think he will leave, and I do think it's not the right decision, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you also think surely that he's got a point. Because, if he's been on the same money, and I always feel a bit dirty talking about the actual figures, but, if he's been on the same money since he moved from relegated Newcastle, he's not the same player now, is he? He's a Premier League winner, he's a European Cup winner, he's been integral to both of those things. Excuse me. So, the player we bought then, the player that Newcastle fans said was, the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. He had no heart. He didn't dig in and all that. We know all of that not to be true now, and we also know that he's sort of like a bit of a cultural leader for Klopp as well. Klopp absolutely loves him, so he should be rewarded for that, shouldn't he? He should be offered a much bigger contract than he was then. Yeah.
And especially the other thing is, I guess, the situation we're in now. You might say that we've already replaced him. Some people have said that his place in the squad's already kind of been replaced by Thiago or whoever, but I think that that's not the case, and we often end up in these situations where we seem to sell a player and not replace them, and then 6 months down the line we're saying, we're kind of doing it with Lovren now, aren't we? With it's a shame we sold him, even and Wijnaldum by anyone's measures is miles better than Lovren and miles more important than Lovren. So it seems like a mad time to be selling somebody that important is the other thing. And it's just a case of whether we as a club feel that it's worth maybe tying somebody down of that age to their kind of last big contract. And it feels to me as if the club don't feel like Gini is the one that they want to do that with. My concern is, do they feel like any of them would be?
Yeah, we shall see on that. Okay, well, brilliant stuff, mate. Thanks for coming on this morning. I was just checking there's still no new news about the Aston Villa game, so we shall wait with bated breath to see whether that actually takes place, but it does appear it will be. Just that Aston Villa are going to feel a very, very, very young side, it seems. Okay, Adam, nice one, mate. Look out for the Anfield Wrap's reaction to that game, should it take place. All the usual things, obviously, video, podcast, stuff on the website, stuff on the socials as well. That has been Talking Reds. Enjoy the FA Cup weekend.